Good afternoon and welcome to Rebound Dog Sofa Meetup, where trust enables curious and transparent conversations. I'm so pleased as founder of Rebound Dog to welcome three amazing guests from Brazil, from California and from France, Switzerland, to discuss the subject of emerging technologies and how AI can enable betterment of humankind. I'd love to introduce Christopher Lafayette, CEO of Gatherverse. And Christopher, would you like to just give a brief bio of what you're doing?
Sure, I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for this gracious invitation. Christopher Lafayette, emergent technologist and humanitarian, and I definitely work at the intersection of human betterment and emerging technical development, which is just so important, and I think it's never been more appropriate now than ever to care and to innovate with compassion and to innovate for the betterment of everyone and every single thing that we do. And just the founder of Gatherverse, we have a major global platform. Tens of thousands of people join us every year to listen and to express and to share and to learn and to really just take some time to care about what's happening at this state of innovative hyperscale. And so for me, I'm really always excited for the opportunity to be able to sit with fellow technologists and those that care and humanitarians and explorers of forward thinking on ultimately how we can make things better for people just a little bit more in their lives. And so I'm very thankful for this gracious invitation to be able to join with all of you today.
You're most welcome. Jean-Claude, you've launched recently a fascinating global movement called Loneliness Global Action. Would you like to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, with pleasure, Spencer. So thank you first to have invited us to your podcast. Really appreciate it. I'm building technologies for more than 3 decades now. So we can say that I'm a serial entrepreneur. But I don't want to talk about technology since COVID hit the planet. I'm all about fighting loneliness all around the world. And to do so, of course, we have businesses. We are using AI and a lot of things that I suppose we will talk tonight. But more importantly, we have launched, as you say, a big movement, as we do not see government capable to really tackle the loneliness when, in fact, it is possible. We do not see companies realizing that it's a huge market with a lot of possibility. We estimate at $2 trillion. So it's a great opportunity at the same time. And we see that many associations, many organizations are struggling, to find funds. So that we are here to put that together and try to build the awareness on, at the same time, the terrible fact, which is loneliness kills almost as the cancer. And at the same time, the good news that there is a lot of possibility for humans to put human at the center and to fight that within the next decade. So I'm here for that, Spencer.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Simon, we've known each other for a while, and I'm fascinated by your work with holonomics. Would you like to explain a little of what you're doing and how you're looking at engaging people?
Absolutely. Thanks again, Spencer, for this invitation to come back again. I really loved the previous conversation. Holonomics, as you can hear, I'm British, but we're based in Brazil. And Holonomics is a business consultancy specializing in cultural, organizational, and digital transformation. In addition to this, I'm also the co-founder of the Deep Tech Network. So we work especially in the area of social impact, but through a network of like-minded individuals and organizations. And also I'm the co-author of 3 books, Holonomics, Business Where People and Planet Matter, deep tech and the amplified organization and designing customer experiences with soul. Since the 90s, I've been involved in customer experience design and innovation with many years in British Telecom. And it was very interesting. At British Telecom, I was the business development manager responsible for smartphones. And this was in the first wave of the internet, and we still didn't really know exactly what a smartphone would be or how people would use it. And I'm seeing a lot of parallels with this wave of technology where we're moving into the metaverse. We're doing incredible things with AI, but there's still so much potential. And this is why I'm really looking forward to this particular conversation, especially because everything we do at Holonomics, it's founded on the 5 universal human values of peace, truth, love, righteousness, and non-violence. And these values are said to articulate the highest expression of humanity. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation exploring, well, what do we mean by soul? What do we mean by humanity in relationship to emerging technologies in this wave of, in this like 4th, 5th wave of deep innovation? It's going to be a fascinating conversation.
Thank you. Christopher, do you see a resonance with what Simon's just said about humanity in the work you're doing with Gatherverse?
Yeah, I think when we look at our standards, similar to what Simon has when it comes to peace, truth, love, righteousness, and nonviolence, when I think about how can that intersect with accessibility and education, equality for everyone, and thinking about community development surrounded by peace, truth, love, righteousness, and nonviolence, thinking about what it means for safety and privacy and the ethical considerations and the hierarchy of needs when it comes to peace, truth, love, and righteousness and nonviolence. I think about all those things and how so relatable they are in this corpus when it comes to interaction. And something that I realize now with technology is that what are we really innovating for, if not for betterment for others? I know that that's just something that just seems so cliche. It's something that just seems so expressed. But with the audience and everybody sitting out here, I would ask you submit yourself are we innovating so that we can generate revenue, so that we can pay our bills and we can have nice things, spend time with our families? All those are correct. All those things are fine. But at some point, with the level of intelligence that's integrated into our innovations, we must look at this opportunity as a very small and finite window that we'll have to be able to run this lab to funding, lab to market initiatives and moonshots and start thinking about how do we unwind from all that? How do we create a society that's not necessarily developed in this global financial structure without disrupting and harming people's lives, but to be able to rise all ships in the channel and to not necessarily, and I'm not saying through communism, and I'm being very specific, but in a fashion to where people have survivability and people simply have an opportunity. If they have a bag of seeds, they have land to plot them in. And so when I think about the necessity of humankind, if I'm talking about peace, truth, love, righteousness, and nonviolence, what pursuant path can I get there under the banner of innovation? Can I arrive to get to manifest all those things that were just expressed? And for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't start with innovation, it starts with grace. And looking inward on my disposition and how I am going to behave in this world and carry it about. And to me, a lot of that has to do with education. And as I've been taught always, give back freely that which was given unto you. And I think it starts with a simple gesture of compassion and kindness, empathy, and understanding that you never know what people are going through. We don't know the lives that people live. How can I simply make it better for someone else? Because if all I'm building is a legacy that's built on capital and built on property and built on tool and utility and access, I may have missed such a greater opportunity for the generations to come because they're not going to enter into the life cycles of what we've been ingested into. And I believe through this disruption, we're heading into a creative renaissance where so many of the processes and methods that we're accustomed to in this digital age will be different altogether.
That's fascinating. Jean-Claude, do you see that in the work that you're doing with loneliness? And do you see this lack of engagement with people, where people are disconnected, that is causing the loneliness?
And fortunately, that's part of the nature of humans, and more especially in Western society. You have people who are just caring about themselves most of the time, and I believe that what Christopher is doing, as well as the value of Simon, are we need around the world to push the message. What I found, most of the people, I will take the example of the young people, are noising currently. Why? Because they are alone. And that's kind of craziness, because as they are alone, they must, but if they go out, they have insecurity, physical insecurity, psychological insecurity, the fear of rejections. So I totally agree with what have been said, and that we need to build a better world. We need to go with the education. There are a lot of things that that have to be done. But what we start with, for example, the businesses we are building, as well as what we propose at Loneliness Global Action is, and I will be rude, we need to throw out the bastards. And I'm very, very serious when I'm telling that. When you see technology that are supposed to bring us back together, like social network, that was the purpose at the beginning. Dating, the purpose is to find love for many. And in some countries like India or China, in fact, it's 80 and 90%, sorry, respectively, and 80% people using that as a last recourse to find friends, just someone to discuss. And we see that at the same time, you have about $4 billion, according FBI, scam, like scams about friendship, scams about love, on a business which is $8 billion. And sorry to talk about numbers, it means that it's $1 on 3 spent there is going into criminal pocket. So one of the problems we have is, and I will not name brands, but you will know what brands I'm talking. Like you open a can and magically, like with red logo, magically all the friends are arriving around you and everything is wonderful, marvelous. There is a lot of marketing around friendship. There is a lot of marketing around love. It's a lie, and people understand that you cannot buy love, you cannot buy friendship. Unfortunately, many people are ready to pay for it because they are desperate, because it's in our genetics. We are a social species, so we need to bond with others. We need to have what we call oxytocin hormones, to feel, not just to feel good, to feel alive. Elsewhere, we die because we are programmed as a machine that needs other machines around us, like other biological machines, either pets, either other humans. And that's why what he said, what has been said before, resonate. Of course, we need to push people, to wake up people, and to teach people how to be more benevolent again, because that was the case long ago. How to rebuild the social links with the family, with the close friends. But at the same time, as I say, we need a policy where all the bullier will be banned. And I do not see that today in the social media. What I see is more and more anger, more and more aggressivity. And at the end of the day, what we found is most of the time the bullier was the one who were bullied before. And that's something that if we want to build a beautiful world, as we just said, we need to care about.
I think this is really interesting, because one thing you said that triggered a thought. I was remembering the famous quote from Joseph Campbell, who said what people are seeking is not necessarily meaning. What people are seeking is a sense of being alive. And something I feel has gone terribly wrong in the last 5 years with the pandemic. It was hugely psychologically damaging, especially for our young people. We often work with young people, especially mentoring young people in organizations who are at that stage of entering work for the same time. So I'm fascinated to hear about the sense of security, because now society is really struggling with health, psychological health, and many people are struggling with physical health as well. It seems something's happened in that we haven't got back to like the pre-pandemic sense of being alive, and people are even more lonely. And this is exacerbated with like online meetings, the use of like work from home. So one thing I'm really interested to learn is, especially from Christopher, given this sense of loneliness and given many people's frustration with social networks and, for example, manipulative algorithms, how do we get back to helping people get this sense of being alive with Gatherverse? Because there's so many promising avenues with this different approach to developing digital experiences.
You know, it's a great question, and thank you so much for asking that. We just hosted a digital wellness day last week on May the 2nd, and when we first launched Gatherverse in 2022, we had over 10,000 speakers at our first event, and over 100 speakers, over 10,000 attendees. It was a success in a little bit of a couple of months. The very next event we did was based on mental wellness.
Yeah.
People said, why mental wellness when you're doing so good at the intersection of technology and humanity? Why do these things? And people have no idea how plaguing that is to so many other people and how unhealthy they really are, physically, spiritually, mentally. And your question is so resolute, because when you're dealing on these different levels with the pressures of society and the persistent messages that come in socially, we're taking in a very vast amount of a information diet that's not well vetted. It's highly pressurized. And if you look at under the auspice of social media today, the communication apparatus, we are taking in much more information than we realize, than any of our predecessors ever have before. Psychologically, cognitively speaking, a lot of people don't know what to do with that. So what I relate with Gatherverse under the banner of wellness, and why we put such an emphasis on wellness, is because we need to be more equipped with better understanding how to deal with the challenges of health and wellness psychologically, what it means when we deal with the relationships with AI, how does it mean with the function of interpretability of the things that are happening in this world, making it make sense, because we've never had this big of a global camera on the world than we have today. I was talking with a colleague today, and I said, we were used to doing business with our dear friends in Ukraine. And there's a major technology presence in Ukraine. But they've had to change their keyboards for weapons. They've had to leave their homes. And now I'm looking at the thing that's happening in India and Pakistan. And I enjoy relationships with people in those two beautiful countries. And there are literally people that I do business with that are impacted because they have the threat of war prospectively over their heads. So when we go back to peace, love, and righteousness and nonviolence, when we think about depression, when we think about the pressures and the vestiges of life, we arrive with Gatherverse not necessarily as the panacea. I don't believe that Gatherverse is that. But I do believe that Gatherverse allows people to be transparent in their expressions and to know that you're not alone with the concerns that you have and what to do with this new information diet that we're all intaking, both of humankind and machine derivative, if you will. And how do we take the responsibility to take in the right amount of information to connect with the right people that are equipped with the same principles? That's the part that you get to go to Gatherverse and you get to meet people you've never met before. And now they know that you exist, if you will, in the world. And maybe there's room for growth and collaboration. Maybe there's alignment with what it is that you're doing. And just maybe what you just said resonates so profoundly deep within their hearts that they join you on your quest. And they're now with you. And it's not about transaction of money. It's just simply about people that care for one another. And hopefully you can help one another to be able to build and scale in a good way. I really believe this is important. There's no universal basic income. There's no universal basic service for this disruption that's happening. Social media was meant to bring us closer. We've never been more further apart. But we've never exchanged this amount of communication ever in life before. How does that even work? And now we're speaking more to our machines now more than ever. What I see as an opportunity is to have those of us who have the desire to lead in a heartfelt way at the intersection of innovation will help guide those who do not have the propensity or the understanding of the coming wave and the transitions that we're already under right now. I'll say this and I'll be done with it. We've gone through the agrarian age, the industrial age 1, industrial 2, the information age. What did we expect would happen when we got more information? People began to apply and then build applications. We've never had this much democratized access to tool and utility than we have before now. But we never were afforded to have an instruction manual of responsibility ethically when we took these tools, these powerful tools, into our hands. And as a consequence of us gathering right now, we're not documenting, but we are the living documentation of the way to be able to go forward, I believe, in a better way that's more sustainable.
Yeah, because one of the kind of design concepts that we work with, and I want to introduce Jean-Claude as well in a minute. One of the kind of design concepts we work is lived experience. Now, sometimes this phrase has become diminished a bit for people to kind of refer egotistically to their own experience. But it's a way of really immersing ourselves in what is the lived experience and how can we really enter into the worlds of other people rather than just say pure emotions or attitudes. And like working in Brazil, it's kind of reminded me that there are the communities and regions and rural regions. People don't have access to 5G. People don't have access to good working 3G. A lot of towns and communities don't have communal Wi-Fi. And so, for example, we've worked with a type of technology, I know you guys will know it, but maybe people listening aren't necessarily familiar, called progressive web apps. So it's not just about designing a great app for an iPhone that has the latest artificial intelligence. And it's not just working with the actual technology, it's really looking at how can we develop products, services, applications, gaming experiences that really reflect the lived experience of the communities that we're designing for in a way in which values them. And the questions are, how can we involve communities in the development of technology when they don't necessarily have experience of developing technology? So, for example, in the areas of education, we've worked with school teachers and head teachers of rural schools, facilitating that. We've worked with some fantastically creative young people in some of the most difficult, who live in some of the most difficult communities in inner cities and urban areas in Rio de Janeiro. And we've helped facilitate them really understand how to really develop their creativity, and so that they can make a meaningful contribution and have impact in this world and bring them into this world without changing who they are, without them changing their essence. And so this comes back to this concept of loneliness. I think there's many aspects or many dimensions to loneliness, which is like feelings of exclusion. And I think it's amazing if we can really think about the lived experience of people, have this stance towards design that kind of gets us away from the Silicon Valley mindset of startups. And I think we need to really move into this new world where we recognize the fact that maybe there's one school of thought where technology is about control of identification, control of access. In Brazil, we recently lost access to X, to Twitter, through government interventions. You know, we've been living this level of censorship. And how can we really develop technology for good that has social impact and that helps more marginalized people, and also people maybe suffering depression who don't necessarily yet feel that they have a voice in how technology is evolving? Because again, I think many people still don't know the power of what we're all talking about here, you know, the metaverse, access to digital communities, and artificial intelligence.
May I, if I can, before John Claude, and then I do want to pass this on to John Claude as well. But what you just expressed, Simon, I think it's very powerful notion that you raise in the sense of what do we do when we have a cadre of founders and startups that want to innovate at the impact level, but they're stymied by the lack of opportunity in terms of deal flow capital, because the risk capital that's in the world is not going towards betterment platforms per se. What do we do with that? And to me, we have to classify these startups that are tremendous value for economic growth, but I think we should put like measure for these startups that are available, that are out there, that are good for human prosperity. If we only invest in one side of the structure, I believe we'll be deplete, because these startups are building platforms that are geared and guided towards sustainability. We look at Gatherverse with all the speakers and founders we have, and they are persistently and consistently left behind. And we see tremendous innovation. And you know what we hear, John Claude? We can't build because we don't have capital. We can't build, we don't have simple resources. We need food. We need a roof over our head. We just want to have Wi-Fi, and there's tremendous innovation. And you know what I think that leads to? When you put somebody's back against the wall, when you put a mountain in front of them and they have nothing to climb, now they find themselves even deeper in the doldrums of disparity, and many of them find themselves lonely because they feel like they're not heard. And they're simply saying, Simon, I thought this was what I was supposed to do, to give, to share. And they feel alone. What does that mean, John Claude?
Oh my God, many things have been said. So I was like passionately starting taking notes, and then I said, okay, let's go with the flow. So I will be back on the beginning of your question, Simon, on why it's not anymore the same than before the COVID, because there are some biological interesting points to learn. But I will start with what you were talking about, Christopher. And I cannot say I didn't feel that. You know, for the last 4 years, I'm working on Fortuit, which is demanding a tremendous amount of liquidities, and sounds that the market don't understand it. So I did something which is kind of, I would say, surprising for some people, but it's working. I discussed with one friend who is an investment banker in Geneva, Nicolas, and he told me, "But Jean-Claude, you're bringing this company with you, this company, because I'm building an ecosystem with about 10 startups currently." He told me, "You know what? There is even not one VC in the world, an impact investment fund dedicated to socialization." And he decided to launch it. So the target is 100 to 150 million euros within the end of the year, and I believe it's reachable. He already has done that before for billionaires and big family office. But the point is how to convince VC. You cannot convince VC even if people invest in impact just because, like, okay, have a beautiful idea, we will have a better world, and etc. At the end of the day, ROI is the point. We are in a business and not just like in charity. So it need to be feel good, and it need at the same times profitable. And here is what I found, when I was working on that, and I want to share with you today, is that I was trying to give some like comparisons to the financial people, and I took the Maslow pyramid. And in the Maslow pyramid, you have all the layers, that from bottom to top that are necessary. Even Zuckerberg's not, I would say, like a year or two, were saying in front of the commission that Facebook was not about making friends. So at least he admit that it's about self-esteem and not belonging and love layer. And about self-esteem, I will not comment, but I think we can do a better job. So belonging and love, it's crazy, but it's the only layer of the Maslow pyramid where you cannot even found a company over $100 billion or $1 trillion. The largest one, Match Group, known for Tinder, their best brand, is even below $10 billion. So that means that one of the most fundamental need human have, which is vital. Without that, you die. So in fact, it's quite simple. No water, no hair, like a few minutes, you die. No water, a few days, you die. No food, like a little bit longer. No friends. We saw that you reduce your expectancy of life by half. For many people. So what I say is okay. So why? Back what I was saying before, because okay, we cannot sell love, we cannot sell friendship. So maybe that's why. But no, people pay for that. 20% of average revenue, even in the poorest country, goes into restaurant, goes into entertainment, which is to kill boredom and just to entertain people and eventually socialize. But as 30% of population is suffering from loneliness and like deeply suffering, and even more than half of the population in modern countries like UK, France, US, it's not working. So there is the money, there is a need, there is all the things. So people are trying to innovate into new energy, into space conquest, and etc. But here on Earth, there is a market that we evaluate at $2 trillion that is available. And I will make a comparison because that's what the financial community need to understand, but also all the entrepreneurs. They have to do like Churchill say, like there. It's they have to be consistent. They have to work because I really believe that it will explode. When I see that market, I'm thinking about medicine. We can go like 5,000 years ago, and we see in the antique Egypt the first doctors asking to pay, for their services. For the wellness market, that was there before. It has started to be named as the wellness market about 15, 20 years ago. Now it's a $6 trillion market. So it doesn't move, money from one pocket to another pocket. It's just giving, it's building things that are more meaningful. Like, okay, going to a restaurant, fine, but maybe it's about socializing, not just watching your phone. There are many things that has to be done. And back to some question and what Simon was talking about. I think that technology need to be transparent. You don't think about technology when you order on Amazon. It's damn a lot of tech behind. It's tremendous logistics behind. Just imagine that whatever exists in world, one click you get it, and most of the time the day after it's in front of your door, and you even don't pay for the delivery. I think that AI for socialization can do exactly the same job, but it's also I say, technology and logistics, because to socialize you need a place. So it can be, of course, the metaverse. Fine, this is digital, but humans needs also, and that's what we were talking yesterday all together, is that I believe that metaverse can help to bring people together, break the ice, and bring people then together in real life. And I think that in real life is so simple. Many people tell me like, "Oh, why you want to reinvent, something that already exists?" Just because people don't meet anymore. We need people to meet again, to meet the right people. So it means about being in the right place at the right time with the right people, and again safely. We talk about the security. AI can make ID verification, face recognition, etc. So AI can help to deal with the bad people, because there are not that many. It's a small number of people. Now AI can do like a wedding planner, can put people, the right people, together at the right time, and it's not that easy in cities with millions of people. We are more alone than in a small village. Back to our biology, Aristotle was saying that we are zoon politikon, like animals, politic animal, politic in the sense of police the city. Uh, that's what we are, humans. And just to go a bit into the intellectual side, is that what I like is to take some example in culture we do not talk enough. I believe, like African culture, because they are closer together than we are in our Occidental society. And in Africa, there is something in Ubuntu that we can translate like "I am because we are," and that's what we have lost. We have lost because even if we are a social animal, we are at the same time with an involved cortex, and this cortex is telling us that, oh, I can be the king of the world, and I am an individual. I'm independent. So humans have that problem. Is on a rational side, you want to be independent. On the animal side, the inner side, they need to bond with others. And what has been to loop to the beginning of your question, what has been broken during the COVID? It's a part of our brain. Now we have evidence through thousands of comparison, IRM comparison before and after COVID. The sensor of oxytocin you have in many places in the brain, but especially in hippocamp, have unfortunately atrophied during the pandemic. Why? Because they were not used. It's like for your eyes, if you are in the dark for 2-3 years, you will lose that capability to see, and you will be blind or colorblind when you will go out. And it will not be, it's permanent, it will not replace it. So, what we have to understand today is that millions and millions of people most probably have a physical handicap about socialization, about empathy. And that's where we have to work around. making people feeling safe. And that's, again, technology can do that. Helping people to be with the right people. Right people doesn't mean copy paste people, but just people who will not reject them. And uh, one of the things I will never say in terms of marketing, but it's true, it's a bit placebo effect, and placebo effect is very efficient. When you meet someone, that's the first second that counts. In fact, that's in the first seconds that your body will create, your brain will create cortisol, which is the hormones of stress, or not. If before you meet someone, you have that feeling that that person will not reject you because that person at least has been selected for you, and I'm not talking about one person, but a group of person, you reduce the social anxiety. So I'm not saying that it has to be all around. I believe in fortuitous encounter. I believe in serendipity. But what I believe is that we can help serendipity. We can help the probability to be with the right people, and that's what we need to work. Keeping safe, free will. Because the worst to do is to go again, too far away. It's always, a problem of balance. What is the right balance between AI that help us, in terms of socializing, AI that can help us into giving some advices, like recently Minu that has been launched by the former CEO of Tinder and backed by Sequoia Venture. So that means that we start to have some of the big VCs in the Silicon who start to invest into socialization, and they even recently invested in the Digi, that is a new dating platform. So things are changing, and Christopher, I heard what you say. Maybe I'm too much optimistic, but I have the feeling that things will move at a speed, at a pace you cannot imagine, because the revolution of AI is going very fast. And I believe that on that we can build the revolution of socialization. My fear personally, AI to replace human in terms of friendship. That would be terrible. It's
Yeah.
great if it can help a bit, if it can train some people. But I will not personally like a world where my best friend is an AI. But that's personal.
I think there were two. I mean, there's a huge lot of in there to unpack, but two of the key things that really caught my attention was one of the key words is trust. Two, how can we bring people together? And also, it's really interesting, like both of you are really highlighting the opportunity. There are huge investment opportunities. But one thing I'm conscious of is that I know quite a lot of people who watch Rebound Dog, this podcast. Often they're involved, they have their own visions, they have their own ideas. And their questions are often, well, what about me? How can I shift from this vision and purpose that I have to actually bringing this dream to fruition? And one of the things that I think would help is that when we work with large organizations at Holonomics, the main audience for us is not the investment community, but actual organizations who are also looking to invest in projects that have social impact. And it's really important to help instigate a systemic vision. So to help people talk about their own projects, we've actually developed our own definition of sustainability, which is of particular relevance when developing social technologies. So at Holonomics, we define sustainability as the quality of our relationships. And this has really resonated with a lot of organizations. So what do we actually mean by that? When we talk about the quality of our relationships, it's relationships with family, friends, colleagues, and customers. It's with our relationships with the private and public institutions and organizations. It's with as we've talked about already today, it's our relationship with global food, health, and technology systems. And in terms of the planet, with planetary resources, global ecosystems, and also, as we've talked about, it's about the quality of relationship that we have with ourselves. And when we have this definition of sustainability, it changes the way we talk about that which we are innovating and that which we're developing. And so there's just so much of this definition of sustainability that really is of so much relevance, both to looking at how we can help people use technology to help them develop high quality relationships and overcome their loneliness. And also as we develop metaverse, and this, metaverse technologies, our experience of being inside the metaverse is going to change, not just with ever increasing quality, the quality of our virtual environments that we design, but as Christopher is talking about and showing what's possible with Gatherverse, is about how we can truly bring people together in a meaningful way that really gives us this sense of being human and sense of being alive.
When I think about the metaverse and I think about where we're heading into, what I like about it, it's a catch-all for all the things that we're aspiring to do. And it's really look at us now. We're in some form of aspect of the metaverse right now. It's metaversal. The ability to find yourself involved in a virtual ecosystem of interaction and communication. And we now live in a world where the level of cultural exchange has never been as high as it is today. Everyone has a unique culture ecologically within the greater ecohabitat of humanity, of life. We naturally are evolving in a, if you will, a polycultural developed system. And there's tremendous growth. It's always been this way through the ages and dispensations of time itself. When I listen to both you, Jean-Claude and Simon, I wonder in my mind, as I just sat and listened to what you expressed, Simon, how would these dialogues evolve within the metaverse? How would you confront the ideals of loneliness in a platform where people ingress into primarily not to be alone? Why did someone step into the metaverse, if you will? Is there not enough in their local environments to satiate, or do they have minds of curiosity to explore and wonder and to understand? What I'm getting at is that we go back to first principles of tribal identification. There are people that are so aligned, Simon, with your 5 principles, and with Jean-Claude, with your current present mission of loneliness. There's so many different people in tribal identification that are looking for you right now as we yet speak. I believe that's one of the most fascinating aspects of the metaverse. It allows for different cultures within the ecosystem to bind together quicker. If we look at what Jean-Claude talked about is the hyperscale and the fast-moving pace and the accelerated fashion of AI development, what that really translates to me is that we're creating tools that will allow us, undoubtedly, the greatest technological feat that we've experienced the past 30 years is communication. Undoubtedly. And when we went into the pandemic, that was the greatest disruptor contemporary to our time. Usually this disruption is technology is superseded by great technology, and great technology is superseded even by better technology. We call it the disrupt. And technology will move in increment shifts and leaps. But what the pandemic did is it caused us to be more virtually acceptable. Not that we didn't have virtual platforms or we didn't communicate virtually before then, but it became more colloquial, didn't it? And the hybrid nature of this, one of the things that I appreciate is that the level of technology that's being produced and shipped to the world, you don't have that without this global cloud consensus of information exchange, human tech center transfer. We're now hybrid. As we sit right now, we're communicating. I'm listening to a gentleman that's from France. I believe that is in Switzerland. and I'm listening to a gentleman that's in Brazil and another one that's in Britain. And I'm able to take this global cloud consensus and I'm ingesting that cognitively in my human factors. And what I'm gaining from it is a better sense of understanding from their lens, cultural lens perspective. Because before, Simon, you even wrote those books, and for you to deduce everything that your whole life's work is, you boiled it down to five focuses, five, not even 10. You used one hand. And then for all the things that you've done, John Claude, you've served in the military, you've done fighter jets, you've built innovations, and your path leads you to wanting for greater discovery of loneliness. That to me is so fascinating. Our predecessors were never afforded these opportunities, ever. So we are literally the generation that's catalyzed, that's gone into this nexus state. And the only thing that I am sitting here thinking about in my mind is, my goodness, how do we transition or pass this or hand this down ethically for our children to inherit tomorrow our innovations of today? So those things to me matter the most. And I really enjoy the energy of this conversation because there's a certain, not a fiduciary governance, but a humanitarian governance of responsibility that comes with this. And this is, I believe, how we do it. This is how we do it, John Claude.
Yeah, and Christopher, I think that we all around this virtual table agree on one thing. That's something I like to say, is when we socialize, we civilize, and that's what we need, to civilize. Now, at the same time, and I put myself into the basket, of we have an intellectual discussion. I was talking about like delivery from Amazon and etc. People don't have a lot of question and philosophical question about that. One point that we are missing, and I found that tough time, even with my kid that was suffering from bullying, and I was pushing him like, okay, go socialize, and making that mistake because I didn't understand what was loneliness. Loneliness is not about necessarily lack of communication, lack of people around you. It's a lot more about lack of meanings in life. And that's what you saw in the young population, and why the young population are even lonelier than the other. We talk about more than 60% of the young generation who are feeling lonely. They have access to the technology. They definitely are the one who will buy the VR headset, to go into the metaverse or whatever. The point is, what are they useful for? And that's a bit what I'm questioning, and it's a really open question on what you are building, Christopher, is that what will be how people will feel useful, because you can be if you're useful, you feel that you are not someone that will be thrown away. You feel that you will not be rejected by the group. If you are useless, then you will be rejected by the group. So Dr. Cassiopo, who is one of the best specialists in Stephanie Cassiopo in love and loneliness, he's a neuroscientist, said that the best advice we can give to someone who has someone lonely around him, so means that for us developing technology, it's a good advice because it can be applied to millions of people, is definitely not to say that person, oh, you don't feel good, can I help you? Because then it's just putting like a big loser, on the face of that person, say, okay, I see you're bad, so maybe I can do something for you. So no. Is that the best is to ask that person, hey, Ronnie, Julia, whatever, can you help me, please? Because I need that. So to reintegrate people, they need to have, that feeling that they can do something. And communication is we have good satisfaction when we are intellectual. If we are like with the right people, we talk, we don't feel lonely, we are happy. But we are the 20% on the top, and we have to work for the 80% on the bottom. And when you were talking, Simon, about countries where there is even not like 4G and etc. And when you talk, Christopher, about our kid and how we will, transfer all of this technology, the knowledge, talking about ethic, that is super important. And we see that the big ones, I'm talking about the Meta, the Google, and etc. Their ethic is questionable. My point is more about safety. Is that if we don't help the world to civilize, we will be at war all around the world. And we can already see that. It will be civil war, it will be war, countries against countries. Because when people, what I like is the like Pax Romana, Romans had an empire that was quite long, according to the human history. At the end, what they were giving? They were giving games, okay, games just like people together, in the stadium. It was more about people to mingle. Bread, same. It's about sharing. And I believe that we need to work. That's why we have, built Loneliness Global. I want that to be a citizen movement. Is that we want people to have to give back control in their life. And when you have a world that will be dominated by robots and production, it's not like something that may happen. It will happen. It's sure. It's 100% certain. So now we have to think about what humans will do, what will be what one or the other will have as a mission in life. And I believe that we need to give a lot more social mission to the people, helping themselves. And I'm not talking about like playing music or everything which is entertainment. Because if it's just entertainment, what we are just like pets that we play with, and no, we need to have something which is more consistent. We need to have something which is, as you say, Simon, more sustainable. And
Yeah.
at the same pace the technology is evolving, we need to think what will be the world of tomorrow. How the humanity in most of the country who will not be producing anything, who will most probably not doing any clerical job or whatever, what will people do? And that's a big responsibility, because as we are building technology that will remove a lot of people job, we need to find another way to give them a job. And job, I believe, will be in the socialization. And that's why also, I say it's a good news, it's a good opportunity. And doesn't matter if it's on the metaverse or in real life. What I believe is that we need to give people something to do that makes sense. And I don't know how you deal with that in metaverse. As long as it's intellectual speaking together, I'm fine. I know that they will be happy, and they will feel that they have other people same than them. It's easy for intellectual to feel they can belong to others. People who are not intellectual in the real life, they are bonding around something very simple: playing cards, drinking some beer, and we need to think about them. And I think that many entrepreneurs are just forgetting that 80% of the population, and that the one that will be dangerous for us if we don't give them something good. So I don't know, Simon, if it resonates with what you are doing, at Holonomics, but big corporation need to think about that, because it's not just the tech company that need to think about it. It's the whole industry, the whole world is shifting, and we have to think
Yeah,
about what we are.
absolutely. Yeah, you remind me of the Buddhist concept and definition of work, and I really love the Buddhist definition of work because there are three different elements. The first is work allows people to have a dignified life. We're not talking about untold wealth, but obviously enough resources to have a dignified life. Also, work is an opportunity to be able to express and apply our talents. And also, work, I love this final part. Work is an opportunity to work on our egos. Because in an organization, we have to understand how we can deal with people who are not necessarily like us. And we have social situations, social interactions that are not particularly easy. So it's an opportunity to develop our humanity and to progress and develop our spirituality. And I think when you have this Buddhist conception of work, it can help us think about what we need to be doing with technology to ensure that people do have the benefits of work, because there are many benefits of work. It's not just taking away, the drudgery. We need to rethink work. And I think Buddhism gave us this excellent kind of path forward.
Great.
And think
Christopher,
about yes.
yeah, sorry, just I wanted to know, because I wanted to hear from what I say before. How do you see people utility or what people will do in the metaverse? Beside, of course, discussing, how can we make them feel they are useful?
Yeah, the future in the metaverse will consist of buy, sell, and trade ecosystems. Once you establish that line of interaction, whether it's crypto assets or currencies or fiat currencies, brought down digitally, solidified on chain, real world assets on chain with ownership. Once you establish a buy and sell trade ecosystem within the metaverse, then it brings into government structures. You'll have to have leadership in governments, and it'll be non-tethered to geography. And the metaverse will have multiple different destinations that are metaversal and interoperable, to where I own one thing in one part of the metaverse in this particular experience. And when I go to another platform, I still have that same ownership. I'm still the same person. I'm still the same representation of my own self. But I kind of want to go back to what you talked about in terms of the generations to come, and how that works in parallel with the metaverse, and how the metaverse doesn't help, because we have to also think about the coming wave of the robotic infrastructure, Atlas and Optimus and Boston Dynamics and all the incredible machinery that's going to inherit these foundational models that we use almost every day in our lives with AI. I almost think there's a great opportunity for an agrarian 2.0. If you can get these models to help build out buildings and infrastructure, they don't sleep. Yes, our construction workers will be disrupted, but they don't sleep. They could build foundations. They could build infrastructure, livable housing. They can garden and plant all day. And when I think about this opportunity, there's different destinations in this world that are survivable, they're livable, but it needs the right infrastructure in place. And if you go back to agrarian principles, their whole lives were based on survivability of planting, hunting, growing, eating, nurturing, sharing with community, tribal, all of that. My point is that how can we take the parts of the world, because if we had to be honest, third world countries, but first world countries, so many of its citizens will be deduced to third world status because there's no jobs, there's no work. We've all inherited a system of collegiate escalation. We come out of college and we naturally get a career and a job, but the first to go is the intellectual corpus when it comes to the disruption of AI. There's no universal basic income. There's no universal basic services. Governments cannot foot the bill for everyone and for every mouth. Yes, we would like for technology companies to kick in because this invention is part of their doing, because they're becoming multi-trillion-dollar platforms worth more than some countries. But I don't know if that can happen. I don't know if you're going to force a company or a corporation to give their money, which is most likely not. So what do you do?
That's a on that, because with the Long Global Actions, we are also not here just to criticize, but to give some ideas. I believe that we will see a new way to tax the businesses. Very simplistic, of course, it will be more complex, but take the revenue and profit of a company, divide by the number of people working into the company, and then you have the profitability per head count. I believe that government will have no choice than to tax more the company that are with huge profit per head counts. That will be a way to tax robotics, to tax AI, to tax all of that. I think that it will be most probably the fairest, it will be fair. So with that money, it will be possible to pay people not staying home doing nothing, but that's where we need to reinvent, what can they do. And when you talk about parks and etc., of course, a robot can be a better gardener, most probably, and can work day and night. But there are many things that human will be great at doing. And again, when we talk about socialization, you have so many senior, for example, help between generations. What do you want? You want your grandpa, your grandma, or yourself helped by a robot with some exoskeletons, or do you want someone with real a real heart, caring, sharing, and helping you in all your day? That person will be useful, because we want also to increase the longevity, and somehow by increasing the longevity, we increase the number of helpers, and where we need to feel bonding. I think that it will be a human job. It will not be a robot job. So
but we have to think about but think about this though, John Claude. We know that governments and corporations aren't going to do this out of goodness of their hearts. You said something about if we don't do these things, there could be perpetual war all over the planet. I believe what I would like to do is see what we can do to be able to prevent that from happening, societal disruption, because we know that societal disruption causes pressure for governments and corporations to move once they see enough of their belongings harmed. What did we notice in the pandemic, gentlemen? What did we notice? You took away the games, you took away the stadiums, you took away the fanfare. It gave society more time to think. And there was so much uprising here in the United States, protests all over the place. And what did companies and corporations do? They intervened and said, okay, we'll give more money to the communities. We'll do what we do. Please don't burn down our properties. When you leave a man without food, he will rise. He will riot. He will riot. And that's what we could see happening. What do we do to put in place to prevent that from having to have so much carnage and destruction so that we can start implementing these things now?
So I may be naive, but you know what? US has ride on the front line for a few decades. All Europe has maybe some good solutions because it's different mentality. It's not like on some Asian country, the forced collectivism. It's not at all like in United States, total individualism and like an egoist. I'm sorry to say that, but an egoistic, way to run life. And the market is big enough, so we will see what will be the future. And I don't want to do politics here. Maybe give a stupid idea. For example, if there are a lot of import tax, I think that we need to help the American government because they give the good direction. So no need to increase our import tax in Europe or in the rest of the world. Just put like an export tax and see how they can survive with 20% import tax plus 20% export tax. Okay, anyway, I'm going too far in the politics, but the point is that countries can live, in autarcistic system. Okay, fine. Big countries can. It's not the solution. Never have been the solution. And because I like history, I know that what is happening now will be forgotten like in a year, 2 years, 3 years, because government pass, change, politic change. So I want to believe that reason will win at the end. If it doesn't, then we will be at war. I'm very happy to live in Switzerland. At least it will be one of the most probably peaceful place in the world for quite a long time. But individuals cannot do a lot. Corporation can, but will not. I know that many don't like regulation, and I think that many regulations in Europe are not well done. But there is a potential to regulate some of the big guys, to regulate and to put them back to the wall. I don't think that they will by themselves. They are run by the value of their stock on the Nasdaq. They are run by their own interest on profit. And I'm not a minister, etc. But and I'm even like an entrepreneur. So of course, profit is important. But Christopher, if we want people to civilize, we need to give them the opportunity to socialize. I have in my mind now is like all together we can do a difference, whatever it is. Like in real life. I will prefer to bring from virtual to real, and I think it can be a mission of the metaverse. But humanity is not lost. Even like global warming and etc. Fine. Earth was existing before man will exist after us, and I believe that humanity will survive. Though I'm not that pessimistic, but it will survive at a price, and this price is togetherness. And we will get lesson even from Africa. We will get lesson from the poor country. They don't need technology to survive. They don't need all the robots and okay, it will be a different world, but I don't think that they will. Today, the most of the third world countries starve because of us, and not because of them.
So do you think, Jean-Claude, that we can design using AI and emerging technologies we are designing a potential to design a more inclusive world? Do you think it will become more equal and become more financially equal? Do any of you have thoughts on that?
Equal, I will not say that, because it's nice in the human rights, but we are honestly we are not with the same body, we are not with the same brain, so everybody is different. Thing is, AI is good at planning and find patterns way faster than human. So I do not see AI to be the solution in itself. Humans are the solution, not AI. AI will be just the tool that can, give us the possibility to create a community. And the problem is that community today, when we talk about community, we all think about millions of followers or hundred thousands of. Now, Dunbar described that very simply: is that you don't need that many people around you. You need a small group of people you can really feel you're bonding, you are belonging. And I believe AI in the mainstream of the megapolis around the world can help to find the right people. Yeah, this I really believe. Even if he, for example, he is, I know that many people think that Adam Newmans was like kind of crazy. Most probably he is, and he claims that he is crazy. But what he built with VR was with a good spirit. Okay, on a business point of view, it has been a mess. Now he is doing again, like a small real estates with community. uh, I think the guy is right. So I don't know what he will use to build this community. But yeah, I can imagine AI, for example, when you are young students and you want to find an apartment and share this apartment with few people. Uh, Maybe AI can find the right people for you, the right roommate. Uh, if you are someone aging and you need someone to help you, why not AI to find for you someone who knows the same countries, the same story? There are so many things that can be done, and it's a lot of data that the humans cannot deal with. So that's where AI will help. AI as a companion, again, that's what I was saying at the beginning. I know that Meta wants to go there. I know companies like Replica founder is claiming that psychologists, etc., say it's good. It's very hard for me to believe it's good. I will make a very hard comparison. It's like pornography. Pornography, like some people will say, yeah, it help people alone, like not to to entertain by themselves. No, at the end, it transform all the way your reward system works. When you get the dopamine and etc. And at the end, you cannot even be aroused by your companion, your partner. That's bad. I think that AI can be the best and worst companion ever. The one that will tell you every time what you want to hear, the one that will pamper you, the one that will be so perfect that why then to deal with another humans? So I would say I'm not against the fact that some humans will decide to live in their bubble. Why not? I'm for freedom. I'm not sure that humanity will benefit from that. I don't know. I suppose that you love science fiction, but I really like to read Asimov. And in the books where he described the human society that move away, the first generation that move away from our planet with robots, all this planet finish empty of humans. Humans die at the end because if you have no more human connection, then why to reproduce? No need. So I think that we have to be very careful, and that's what Christopher was talking when we talk about ethics. There is a lot of question on that, and yeah, one of the risks is definitely to replace humans by AI. Robots, AI in the job, I can understand. I really want people to be back from virtual to real. And I'm not saying virtual is bad. I develop technology, that are used for the virtual. I think it's great when it goes with in real life IRL mission at the same time. That's what I believe.
One thing I
I
picked
don't
up
think
from one thing I picked up from Simon's comment earlier was, but why not me? And I think a lot of it comes from the fact we've lost a lack of trust. That was exacerbated during the COVID pandemic for various reasons. And I think it's a necessity that we're collectively breaking down those silos. I think we've established too much of I'm right, you and me are right, and he or she is wrong. And I think the likes of what the four of us are doing individually and collectively as organisations and businesses is starting to transform that and disrupt those silos, which is giving an opportunity for such as these Roadbound Dog Sofa meetups, where that trust does enable those curious and transparent conversations. Because the other thing we see within advocates for the human-animal bond is this prejudgment. This Lady Culkin James has been talking about on the chat, has been talking about autistic people, and that's very personal to myself. And it's looking at there's so much in the world that's prejudging, and it's how Simon touched on it in a previous call about where he sees AI is in some ways at its infancy, way beyond what ChatGPT OpenAI is doing at the moment. And it's how we then go on to develop that as a tool that enables what Jean-Claude has been talking about, is bringing back that human experience, and it's that collective necessity, merger between everything that's necessary, rather than just being a replacement for what is at the moment. It isn't. It's going to be an enabler, but I don't think it's going to be the complete answer. It's what we do with it as a society to make society more inclusive. May I ask you to have one final thought on what you'd like to leave the viewers and listeners with, of where can they reach you, and what would you recommend they do as a next step following this conversation? And you can go in any order.
Simon, as you started?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very wide-ranging conversation, and I think just in terms of finding us, it's easy to find Holonomics, find out more about what we're doing, holonomics.co, and also check. I'm very happy to connect with people on LinkedIn. I think in terms of people developing new IT projects, it's not just about really trying to look for more traditional sources of investment. There are some very good very good businesses, very good commercial organizations looking to support projects. Here in Brazil, for example, many people I speak to are aware that there's more investment available than there are really solid projects available to be funded. So be positive and try and open your ideas about where funding or support could potentially come from. And really also think about developing your projects within ecosystems. I think we're now moving out of the world of, the lone inventor. It's very much about developing within ecosystems such as the deep tech network. So try and be expansive and be creative about how you're going to reach your destination.
Claude, where would we find you?
Because you talk about ecosystem, so I will take the next round. That's what we are doing, for example, with my partner at L-Infinity Impact Fund. It's a fund that is building an ecosystem. There are huge innovation inside. For example, each entrepreneur has to give 10% of his equity to the fund in exchange of shares of the fund for the same value. So that means that even if his business is not going well after 5 years, he will still have probably a few millions left, from the benefits, like from the success of the others. So we are working not in a silo, but we try to make sure that there is no weak link, and that all the companies, all the entrepreneurs have some shares, into each of the business. That's quite innovative. So to find me, it's quite simple on LinkedIn. You can find me. I can connect you if you are an investor to this investment fund. If you are an entrepreneur in the socialization, happy also to connect with you. And whoever you are, and I believe Simon and Christopher, as by the way Spencer did, you can also join our movement, Loneliness Global Actions. We need people like you. We need people with the heart at the right place to contribute building that big movement that we want, a citizen movement. So for that, I will connect you with my partner Nadia, who is leading that movement. So whoever wants to make cash through cash, make cash through business, or just be like I like to say, to feel a man. To be a man is to feel when you set up your own stone that you contribute to build the world. So that's not from me. That's from Saint-Exupéry, but that's what is leading my life since I'm a teenager. So you can join me and bring your stone to what we are building.
Thank you. And Christopher, may I ask you, you started the introduction, may I ask you to wrap up with your concluding thoughts?
Yes, well, I bring this to the fulfillment of the end that thank you, Spencer and Jean-Claude and Simon, for the time we had to share and just for you to speak from your hearts. Um, it tremendous value, and it's an honor to be able to sit stage with you. It really is. My parting words would be that be mindful of the time that you're given. Make the best of it, and do for others that which was done unto you. To operate with care and compassion, ethically, and to find optimism. There is light that does shine in the dark, and to organize and collaborate with others, because if there's something that's so pressing in your heart to do, and you may just have a small window to do it, do it. It always doesn't have to be for profit of gain either. That can come. The opportunities can arrive, but follow your heart if you can. I know I say that, and it's a very difficult world to navigate, but we must understand that what we do with time in business, if it's under business to survive, I see that, but what are you surviving for? So those are some of the things that I take into great consideration as the founder of Gatherverse, as the founder of Lafayette Global Launchpad. We work with founders around the world to help press them towards a better way. I have an AI masterclass that happens at the end of this month, which will be a powerhouse. I have my Metaverse course. We just successfully announced we have over 40,000 student learners around the world at a 4.6 out of 5 rating, which lets you know that it's not a lot of hype. It's good information for you. It's affordable and sometimes even free to take. And find us at Gatherverse. Find us at Gatherverse. And if there's anybody out there that wants to reach and connect with any of us, Simon, Jean-Claude, Spencer, and myself, our doors are open to you to be able to collaborate. And I look forward to joining this incredible, extraordinary initiative, Jean-Claude, on loneliness. And I want to present that to the Gatherverse community to see if they'll come and be able to chop some bit of wood. And then with the work that you're doing, Simon, your books, I'm happy to share that with the Gatherverse community as well. And then obviously this discussion, Spencer, and the work that you're doing in bringing humans, souls together, if you will, to express, it really does take a lot of engineering. So we're thankful for you and your whole entire team and the whole entire audience to be able to sojourn with us. And we look forward to hearing from you and your thoughts. And we hope the very best for all of your families and everyone at home tonight.
Thank you. I'm humbled.
With all of you.
Merci. Thank you, gentlemen.
Merci beaucoup.
Thanks.
For futures untold,